Most people think that an ISA is just a tax wrapper. You put money in, it grows tax-free, and that's basically the end of the story. But if you pick the wrong ISA provider, accessing your own money could cost you thousands in future tax-free growth simply because of the rules wrapped around that account. So in this video, we'll look at how to avoid that pitfall and how the ISA rules around flexibility can be used in your favour if you choose the right product. Today's video is sponsored by Lightyear, a UK investment platform with low and transparent fees that offers stocks, funds, and interest on uninvested cash. A lot of investing advice quietly assumes that life runs in a straight line, but we all know that's not true. For example, the assumption is that income comes in smoothly, expenses are predictable, and nothing unexpected happens. But as we all know, real life just doesn't work like that. Roofs leak. I know this one does. House purchases fall through. Jobs change. Gaps appear between selling one property and buying another. And sometimes you just need access to your own money for a short period of time. Now, the ISA limit of £20,000 a year sounds generous on paper, but the moment you actually need liquidity, that spendable cash, the way your ISA is structured suddenly matters a lot more than the headline allowance. Locking money away under rigid rules doesn't reduce risk, it simply replaces market risk with structural risk. That's why for me, flexibility isn't just a nice to have, it's non-negotiable. I'd never consider an ISA unless it was flexible. Now, putting money into an ISA is an annual game of use it or lose it. Each year you're given this £20,000 allowance with ISAs, and that runs for a given tax year. Now, bar some wrinkles around the types of ISA and new limits on cash ISAs, which are going to start in April 2027, putting new money into an ISA is fairly straightforward and not the focus of this video. What isn't always obvious is what happens if you need to take money out. If you withdraw cash from a non-flexible ISA, even temporarily, that allowance does not come back. You can replace the money, but it counts as a brand new contribution. So even if the cash is only out of the account for a few weeks, the tax shelter is gone for good for that tax year. That's why I describe non-flexible ISAs as a door that only swings one way. Every pound that's withdrawn becomes visible to the tax system and is now treated as new money if you try to put it back into the ISA. A flexible ISA changes that dynamic completely. You can withdraw money when you need it, and as long as you put it back in within the same tax year, you don't lose the allowance. And nothing else changes. You can have the same investments, the same tax treatment, the same £20,000 cap. The only difference between a flexible and non-flexible ISA is that temporary access to your money doesn't permanently damage your tax allowance for the flexible ISA. So instead of a one-way door, you get a revolving door. Money can move out and back in without consequences as long as you respect the tax year boundary. However, there are some wrinkles that you should be aware of. For example, junior ISAs and lifetime ISAs cannot be flexible. Any new money in a tax year put into your flexible ISAs is treated a bit differently from previous year's money. And just so you know the lingo that HMRC uses, if you look at their documentation, they call new money that you put into your ISA each year your subscription for this tax year. Net subscription is new money minus withdrawals. So let's say you put £14,000 into a flexible cash ISA in May. In August, you withdraw £6,000. Well, then your net subscription is going to drop to £8,000, the difference between the two. So you can put £12,000 into any ISA for the rest of the year. Now, ISA contributions from previous years can be replaced without using your allowance, but only into the same account and in the same tax year. So let's make that clear with some examples. Let's say you have £50,000 of prior year funds. You withdraw £10,000 in June, you must return it to that same ISA before 5th of April. You can't put it into a different ISA without it counting as new money. Now there I've assumed you're not putting any new money into the ISA that year. All of that 50k comes from previous tax year contributions. And finally, closing the ISA account kills the replacement right. If a withdrawal or transfer closes the flexible ISA, any unreplaced previous year funds lose their replacement capacity permanently. So say you have £50,000 of prior year funds in a flexible ISA. In June, you withdraw £10,000, intending to replace it later. And then in August, you transfer the ISA to a new provider. That £10,000's replacement right dies with the transfer. You can't replace it at the new provider without using your annual allowance for this year. In this situation, do the replacement before you do the transfer. So if you return the £10,000 before starting the transfer, then the funds are safely back in the tax-free wrapper and the transfer proceeds with no loss of capacity. So why do flexible ISAs exist? They were introduced by George Osborne, who is Chancellor of the Exchequer in 2015. He announced the reform in the March budget of that year as part of what he called a 4-point plan to support a savings culture. In his budget speech, he said, "We'll introduce a radically more flexible ISA, and in 2 weeks' time, the changes I've already made mean that people will be able to put £15,240 into an ISA. Of course, that was the ISA limit at the time. But if you take that money out, you lose your tax-free entitlement, and so you can't put it back in. This restricts what people can do with their own savings, but I believe people should be trusted with their hard-earned money." You can almost imagine people saying, "Hear, hear." With a fully flexible ISA, people will have complete freedom to take money out and put it back in later in the year without losing any of their tax-free entitlement. Now, the issue he was trying to fix was practical rather than ideological. In effect, savers who needed short-term access to their cash were penalised by permanently losing part of their tax-free wrapper for that year. HM Treasury's stated policy objective was to increase the flexibility of ISAs for savers. The intention was to make ISAs feel more like genuine savings accounts rather than some kind of rigid annual quota that's going to punish liquidity. The new rules came into force on 6th of April 2016, and from that point on, if your provider offered a flexible ISA, you could withdraw cash and replace it within the same tax year without reducing your annual allowance. Now you might be thinking, surely platform providers would have switched over to making all their ISAs flexible, given it's such a huge improvement. In fact, that's not what happened at all, quite the opposite. Platforms that launched after 2016 generally do have flexible ISAs, but platforms that launched before that date generally don't. For example, Lightyear has a flexible ISA, and it was flexible straight from launch. Now, I can understand that the economics of switching the back office systems to accommodate the new rules would be a huge and expensive undertaking, and the provider has to constantly monitor every single withdrawal and deposit to calculate exactly how much of the current and previous year's allowance you've reclaimed. But frankly, given the benefit to their customers, it's amazing to me that more of the older platforms haven't done this. In a moment, we'll go through an example that shows how much difference flexibility makes, and I was shocked by the results. But before we continue, I want to share some news with you. As many of you know, I only mention providers that align with my philosophy of encouraging long-term investing. Lightyear is one of them. I've worked with them on multiple occasions, and I had the chance to meet their team in London. Lightyear's view is that investing shouldn't be complex or quietly eat into your returns through hidden fees. Instead, they focus on offering simple, transparent products that support consistent, long-term investing. Recently, Lightyear removed trading fees from their stocks and shares ISA, and they've now also enabled fractional investing within the same ISA. While not all instruments are fractional just yet, you will already find many commonly used ETFs denominated in pounds sterling, as well as US stocks. This makes it easier to invest the amounts you're comfortable with in a tax-efficient way. Do note that fund manager and FX fees may still apply. If you haven't tried Lightyear yet, you can use the code PensionCraft, the name of our channel, to receive up to £100 in a fractional share or ETF in your general investment account. Please remember that investing involves risks, and the value of your investments can go down as well as up. Full terms and conditions are linked in the description below. I'll also be sharing more over time about how Lightyear and I plan to continue supporting this long-term investing philosophy, but also helping more people become better investors. So let's try to make the benefits of flexibility more concrete with what I call the 100k problem. Imagine you suddenly need access to £100,000 for a short period of time. Perhaps you've exchanged on a property purchase, but your own sale hasn't completed yet, leaving this temporary gap in funding. Or you've sold a second property and need to pay the capital gains tax within 60 days, even though the sale proceeds haven't landed in your account yet. It could even be something as simple as helping your children with a short-term loan while they complete on their own home. Whatever the reason, you take the £100,000 out of your ISA in June, fully intending to put it back a few months later. In a non-flexible ISA, that decision permanently reduces how much your wealth can ever grow tax-free. It would take another 5 years to put that money back into your ISA. In a flexible ISA, it doesn't. You replace the money later within the tax year and carry on as if nothing had happened. Furthermore, you can still contribute the £20,000 into your ISA as normal. Now that's a massive difference in outcomes. If we make a few assumptions about your tax bracket, returns and dividends, then you can see the difference illustrated here. In the top panel is a comparison of the two ISA balances. In both, we started at 100k invested and then withdrew that to cover expenses. With a flexible ISA, we repay the £100,000 back into the ISA after a short period of time, but for the non-flexible ISA, the money's invested in a general investment account and then gradually fed back into the ISA £20,000 at a time. So the non-flexible ISA takes 5 years to catch up with the starting balance of the flexible ISA. Meanwhile, the flexible ISA has been compounding, tax-free, during those 5 years. Now the bottom panel here shows the tax you end up paying for the non-flexible ISA. And because the investment is in a general investment account, this incurs capital gains tax each time you sell a 20k chunk of your investments, and then you take that cash and put it back into your ISA. Now you'll only pay CGT if it's above your CGT allowance, and you have to pay income tax from 2% paid in dividends every year. And here I've assumed a 5% capital growth rate. So the total tax paid in this example is just under £5,000 for the non-flexible ISA, and of course for the flexible ISA it's zero. But it doesn't end there. The balance of the non-flexible ISA will be behind the flexible one forever. And that difference will compound because of the irreversible nature of the non-flexible ISA withdrawal. One short-term withdrawal made under the wrong rules can permanently reduce the amount of your portfolio that ever gets to grow tax-free. There's also a behavioural side to this that rarely gets talked about, but it does matter a lot. If people feel that their savings are trapped and inaccessible, it'll make them more reluctant to invest, and that's going to reduce their willingness to save and invest for the long term, even if that would have increased their wealth due to the tax-free compounding. Non-flexible ISAs increase that fear of being hammered by tax penalties if you need to temporarily draw on what is, after all, your savings. I think the flexibility changes the psychology. Knowing you can get your hands on your money easily if life does throw something at you leads to better long-term outcomes. And I think that's simply because it improves your investing behaviour. So flexible ISAs aren't a passport for dipping in and out of investments. We all know that's a bad idea. What they are about is removing fear from the system, and that makes people invest with more confidence. So have you used a flexible ISA in the past, and what was your experience of it? Did you find a use case that I haven't mentioned? I'm sure you have. Let me know in the comments below. And remember the offer from Lightyear, the sponsor of today's video. If you haven't tried Lightyear yet, you can use the code PensionCraft to receive up to £100 in a fractional share or ETF in your general investment account. Full terms and conditions are linked in the description below. And, as always, thank you for listening.